Great. So I'm here with Caitlin again from the Michael J. Fox Foundation, and we're here to talk about data initiatives. So I understand that Michael J. Fox, one of the unique things you do is you gather a lot of data about people with Parkinson's, and there's PPMI and there's Fox Insight. Could you explain a bit more about what those things are?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually would love to talk about PPMI, Fox Insight, and then the Global Parkinson's Genetics Program, GP2, all of which do different things but very complementary to one another. So I'll start with PPMI, which is the Parkinson's Progression Markers Initiative. This is what we sort of refer to as the Foundation's landmark natural history study. So it is the largest natural history study in Parkinson's to date. It's been around since 2010 when it was launched, and it really was launched with the intention of making other clinical trials easier down the line. So we were talking about the biomarker breakthrough that came from the Parkinson's Progression Markers Initiative, and now will be used to make other trials easier, trial planning, trial execution, etc. In PPMI, we're looking at a number of different things, and the overarching goal, besides making clinical trials easier, is understanding how Parkinson's starts and changes over time, who gets it, and why. So we're looking at right now a cohort of around 2,000 people, which will grow to around 4,000 people by the time that we close enrollment. And it's not only looking at people with Parkinson's, but also those who might be at risk or have some of those conditions that are associated with Parkinson's. So REM sleep behavior disorder, or RBD, hyposmia, so sustained smell loss, and genetic links and family connection to the disease.
So just to explain this, so you take a cohort of like 2,000, as you say, growing to 4,000, and then you do a number of tests on them and you gather lots of data over a period of time.
So
for some patients, you've got more than 10 years data, I guess.
Yes, we do have some people. I just met somebody, actually. I was at a retention event in the Baltimore area. I met somebody who is a control volunteer, so somebody without a connection to Parkinson's, who's been in the study since 2010, so 13 years. He's been coming in once a year at this point to give samples, to do some neuro testing, test your blood, sort of the entire gamut of clinical research.
I think that's one of the great things about PPMI, isn't it? Is you've got this long history, because often people, when they test a drug, they look at a year, 2 years. But you can look at, in the best case, to 13 years of history, which is really powerful.
Absolutely. It's a huge depth of data, I think. We have gained such deep knowledge from it, and we will continue to do so. The study is still ongoing and will be for some time.
And I think you capture a very broad range of data, don't you? There's genetic data, there's image data, proteomic data, there's a huge range
kind of everything that you could possibly want. And what's not unique but very special about PPMI is that all of that data is available to other qualified researchers. And at this point, I think we have around 1,300 articles that have been published with PPMI data. Yes, which is very exciting, and all of that data is available, and then everything that's published with PPMI data is also available.
So can we talk a bit about Fox Insight and how that's different from PPMI?
Yes. So Fox Insight is also a longitudinal observational study. However, it's done.
So longitudinal means it's over a period
of time. Yes. And I don't remember when Fox Insight was started. It was before my time, but it's also been around for some time. And it makes it so that anybody can participate in research from the comfort of their own home by taking surveys. So there is sort of a Fox Insight underlying program, which is you do surveys every 90 days. And it's questions about your health, about your Parkinson's, if you have Parkinson's, and sort of anything else that might be of interest. And what's really important about this data is that we're capturing people where they are, because sometimes you go into the doctor's office, you might be having an off day, you might not be in the best position for testing. This way we can capture as much data as possible when people are either in their best condition or when they're not feeling so well, and then understand the differences there.
So what I say is I do Fox Insight every quarter, as you said.
And how is it?
And it's super easy to use. It's a really nice. I do it on my iPhone. The questions are very straightforward. It doesn't take very long time. It's quite insightful as well. It asks me, what my key symptoms are, and they might fluctuate over time. So it captures a rich set of data. And I've been doing it in the 7 years since I was diagnosed. It's at least 7 years old now.
Yes, at least 7 years old. And I think what's really nice about Fox Insight is that you can then review your own data. You can go back in and say, oh, I know 6 months ago, how was I feeling, and take a look at that. And then when you're doing the surveys on, the 6 months forward, see how you're feeling that day, which is sort of unique.
So I guess the difference between PPMI and Fox Insight is Fox Insight, you have a lot more data, but you have sort of slightly less rich data. You don't have all the DAT scans and the
I think I would say we have
and so on.
Yes, the frequency of data, and because it is all patient reported or volunteer reported, I think we are sometimes missing a little bit of that external look.
Yeah.
So when you go in for PPMI, there are patient-reported things that you're doing, but there's also the physician who's taking a look, the research coordinator who's doing things, and they're collecting that extra data, plus what you just said, the in-person things we can only do in person,
Yeah.
like the biological samples, imaging, etc.
And then you mentioned a third
Yes.
data initiative as well.
So the Global Parkinson's Genetics Program, this is something that the Fox Foundation, we don't sponsor it, but we do implement it. So we are a large partner. It's an ASAP initiative, so aligning science across Parkinson's. And this is trying to collect essentially as much genetic data as we can from anyone with Parkinson's around the entire world. So we talked about how PPMI has a very strong depth of data. GP2 is huge, broad data. It is in, I think right now we have almost 60 different sites that are contributing, and we will have 160 samples that are promised, 160,000, sorry, samples that are promised. So this ranges from places from Lagos, Nigeria, to we have sites in India, we have sites in Europe, South America, North America. It's on every continent except for Antarctica.
And it goes without saying, these 3 data resources are huge benefits
Yes.
to researchers around the globe.
Absolutely. And in GP2, there actually was a breakthrough recently also in terms of genetics and looking at the genetics of people who are of African descent. And there might be some differences in the GBA gene that we were unaware of until now and was only made possible through this project.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you very much. That's really
course.
interesting. Thank you.